the bag worker out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You tuned to Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad in effect with me tonight. As always, ladies first. Porsche, what's good, miss?
How's it going, Kill?
Everything is everything. Everything is everything. Ed, out the West Coast, what's going on, good brother?
Hey, man, good. Glad to be back.
All right, no doubt. And my brother, JP, what's going on, fam?
I'm good, baby. You know what it is.
All right, well, y'all know how it is. Let's get right to it. Yo, it's the end of the year, but y'all know me. I hate doing just the basic top 5 albums of the year because everybody's going to do that. Every podcast, every blog site, everybody's going to have that. So we got to switch it up. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite verses of the year. Some of them joints may not even come from the albums that make the list. You know what I mean?
Right.
Our top 5 favorite beats. Who we felt was the dopest MC of the year, who was the dopest producer of the year. We're going to talk about disappointing albums. And then we're going to talk about our top 5 albums versus the top 5 albums we played the most. And what I mean by that is that going throughout the year, like I was like, yo, this is going to be my number 1 album. I knew that this album was going to be number 1 for the year. But then at the end of the year, I'm like, yo, I haven't played this album in months. But another album that may have been at number 4 was the one I was playing the most. So,
right,
you know, just looking at things like that. So let's get right into it. Porsche, what are your top 5 verses of 2000?
Should I give you one or should I give you all 5?
Give them all. Give us all 5.
Okay.
Give us all 5.
Okay, so I got Palmolive from the Bandana album, Pusha's verse. I got Black Thought's verse from The Plugs I Met off of Benny's album. I got Andre 3000's verse from Anderson .Paak's album.
Okay.
J. Cole's verse, surprisingly, I was actually so happy to write this. J. Cole's verse on Family and Loyalty from the Gangstar album. Right. I got Sky Zoo's verse, which is pretty much the entire song, from the Retropolitan album on Homegrown.
Okay.
So those are mine.
All right, dope. Eddie, what you got, good brother?
All right. Damn, I don't know if I got my 5, but I have a lot of the same ones that Portia had. So I got Black Thought on Crowns for Kings. I actually have 2 Pusha T verses. I got his verse on 18 Wheeler, and I got his verse on Palmolive. And I'm trying to. There was a Fonte verse. Speaking of him, there was a Fonte verse I had to. I want to say it was. What's the name of this song? Sitting Alone. I think it was the one. Didn't quite come up with 5. I was kind of struggling with that, but. Yeah.
All right, no doubt. JP, what you got, good brother?
For me, I got 38 Special from Sunday School off of Benny's project. That verse. I got Fonte from. Actually, I got 2 Fonte verses. I got one from The Feel, the first song on the album, and the verse from All in a Day. I also got Benny the Butcher on the Griselda album that just dropped for Cruiserweight Coke, his verse on there, and Conway from Everybody Is Food 2, the Overdose song. So that's what I got.
No doubt. Y'all coming with some heavy hitters for this year. I would. Let me ask this too. What did y'all think of 2019 as far as just hip hop? Like on a 5 mic source scale, how many mics would you give 2019 for hip hop? Porsche, how many mics you got?
I give it 4 mics. And for me, I've been saying this since like February. I'm like, Pete Rock has been carrying 2019. I think he's got like one track at the time. But lo and behold, like Pete Rock, in my opinion, I mean, we'll get to that because you said we're going to talk about like producers. But yeah, I think 2019 has been surprisingly a very, very big year for hip hop, and in a way that I don't remember like 2017 or 2018 being even. So much so that I wasn't like time wise, and just how much music was coming out. I wasn't even able to venture off of hip hop because there was so much music coming out, and all of them were so good that I was like, hey, I don't want to stop like listening to this one. I've got albums in queue, and I can't even get to R&B. I can't get to anything else. So for me, I think 2019 was a solid year. It was a big year for hip hop, and I think it'll be a memorable year for sure. It'll be a memorable year.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, what's up? How many mics you got for this year?
Yeah, I think I would probably say 4 mics, and comparing it to 2018, because I thought 2018 was a really dope year. I put it like this. I feel like 2018 might have had higher highs for me, but 2019 feel like had a lot more that were at a high level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, a variety too. I mean, no matter what you want, whether you're looking for, like Coke rap, which was everywhere, whether you're looking for, something more, old school sound and boom bap, whether you're looking for something a little bit more conscious, even the underground cats, I know you clown, but the Mac Hamis and the God Fahims of the world, put out a lot of dope stuff. So I think it was a little bit, not a little bit, a lot for everyone. No matter what you wanted, you could find it. And in going into the R&B, the funny thing is when I was kind of looking for my R&B choices, and then I started searching, well, what did come out as far as R&B? Not much. At least not much that was on my radar. But for hip hop, there was a lot.
Right. What about you? Well, how many mics you give me? How many mics against Ed?
Oh, I said four mics.
Four.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What about you, JP?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Eddie and Portia. Like, I think it was 4 mics. I think it was a very solid year. I think that, I'm always a big fan. Like, even though the music that I like or that I treasure the most is not always represented on the radio, but it's always out there. If you pay attention to the artist and what you like, you'll find the music. So it could be a great year every year, actually. So, but like Eddie was saying, even the underground cats, I felt like it was a rise of underground cats, like even gaining more popularity. Of course, Griselda, headlining all those cats. But I feel like it was a great year for music. I mean, lyrics and beats. Like, I was very pleased with this year. So definitely 4 mics for me.
All right, and the same for me, 4 mics. I forgot to even do this, but I'm gonna just try to run down some of the albums that came out this year. So we had The All by Smith & Wesson. We had Vernia by Eric Sermon. Trill Static, Bun B and Stack Selector. Crash Talk, Schoolboy Q. Ghost of All Time, Style P. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Logic. Igor, Tyler the Creator. I don't even know if that's hip hop. Mike and Men, Wu-Tang Clan, their EP, El Capo, Jim Jones, Plugs, I Met Benny, Bandana, Freddie and Madlib, Revenge of the Dreamers, the Dreamville compilation, West Side Gun, Fly God is an Awesome God, Chamber No. 9, Inspector Deck, The Lost Tapes 2, Nas, Dive, Black Milk, Port of Miami 2, Rick Ross, May the Lord Watch, Little Brother, E, Rhapsody, Let Love, Common, Monday, Joel Ortiz, Ghostface Killers, Ghostface, Retropolitan, Sky Zoo and Pete Rock, Rise of the Moon, Black Moon, Hitler's Wear, Hermes, 7, West Side Guns, one of the best yet, the Gangstar album, which to me was like the surprise album of the year. I don't think anybody had that on their radio. You had God Level, Fred the Godson, and Born to Rap Game. And I'm sure I'm missing probably at least, like, no exaggeration, another 30 to 40 albums that I'm forgetting. I know DJ Muggs probably produced about 10, 12 albums this year alone with a whole rack of MC. So like y'all said, very dope year. My top 5 verses, almost the same from in the middle of the year show we did. Push verse on Palmolive. Like, that's still just like classic Push to me. I got Sky's verse on Glorious, which like Porsche was saying, it's really a whole verse. It's just not even a second, third verse. He just spits. I got Glorious and Penny's jerseys. I love Penny jerseys, man. I love that joint. I got RJ Payne's verse on The Smoke. RJ Payne's is cat out of Philly. Benny the Butcher signed him to BSF. Square root of a kilo. He's got a dope joint. And then my two verses that I actually want to read because I love them so much is one of them is shocking to me because not that I'm not a huge fan, but I guess I'm not a huge fan. I like her. I'm just not a huge fan, which is Rhapsody. And her verse on Cleo, I love that verse where she says something like, we all on the same continent and off the same boat. Remember early on, you ain't treat me all the same. No, used to question why the brothers used to rock with me for. Remember y'all used to wonder about wonder, question why they even want to push a black woman. Niggas on my label who ain't want me in the front end. Some sisters in the industry, I know y'all fronted. Dressed too tomboy, rap too lyrical. I can say more. The pain will just bring a few tears to you. I shed a few, was booed bad in Fort Lauderdale. Now I'm booed up. And I can't fail. Know who you are. I won't name names, never tell. The weight that I carried those summers, I'll never frail. So I just really felt, number one, I love that beat. And then two, I just like, just that whole part. Cause now I'm like, damn, you got people on your label even questioning you. You know what I mean? Like, so I love it when I hear a verse and I'm like, it opens up more questions. You know what I mean? Like, damn, who was on your label? Who was fronting on Rhapsody? You know what I mean? But, so that was one of them. And then my second one is Benny's second verse on Took the Money to the Plug's House. Like Benny to me is just, this is for my whole brick brides and my quarter hustlers and all the road trip drivers and the corner hustlers. He made his first 10 bands. Let's applaud the brother. Now, if you do that 10 times, now you on to something. This year, I don't pray no more, only to an eighth of raw. Like, a fork in a mayo jar. My flow got the numbers you inflated, George. You got to create a buzz. My flow got the fans rethinking who the greatest was. When I go pay for drugs, I need duct tape and gloves. Pots, 2 plates, and scrubs, a spot where the neighbor's good. My favorite part, a place where the fiends do favors for the neighborhood. Come and cop and leave with extra rocks. He hooked the cable up. Now, here's the wild part for people out there. Crack was a horrible drug, but the thing that crack did do was allow crackheads to do a lot of stuff for the neighborhood. So that verse right there will tell you got a lot of car washes, you got a lot of oil changes. Crackheads in my neighborhood in Philly would put in the work. So I love that line where he's just saying, came through a cob, leave with extra rocks, he hooked the cable up. So those are my top 5 verses of the year. Porsche, top 5 beats of the year. What you got?
Okay, my top 5 beats, I've got Palmolive off of Bandana, Homegrown off of Retropolitan, Picture This off May the Lord Watch, and Fresh Out off the Blue and Ono album. And that's all I have.
Dope. Eddie, what you got? Top 5 beats of the year.
All right, I got Lil Brother, Black Magic on that May the Lord Watch album. That's produced by Focus 3 Dots. I got Freddie Gibbs, Giannis, obviously produced by Madlib. I got 2 from that Pete Rock and Sky Zoo album. I mean, I could have had that whole album, just like what Porsche was saying earlier. But I got Truck Jewels and Carry On the Tradition. I got Bad Name by Gangstar. Then I got a couple more Yayo by Pharoah Monch. And then I got Best Life by Danny Brown, the joint that Q-Tip produced.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No doubt. JP, what you got, good brother?
Well, like Eddie, I got Black Magic from May the Lord Watch by Little Brother. I also got The Feel from Little Brother album. There's also a group on Ninth's Jamla album called 2-5 to Jersey. It's Swank and King Draft. They got a song called New Jacks, which Knots produced. That's incredible. I got Turnpike Ike on the Rick Ross album that Jake One produced, and this song called Coretta by this dude named Chris Classic. I forgot the guy who produced it. I can't. His name is escaping me right now, but the beat is crazy. So that's what I got.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. For me, I got Black Moon Rise by Black Moon. That joint to me was crazy, man. As soon as I heard that beat, it was like, and then hear Evil D scratch again. It's something I just miss DJ scratches so much. Like, I mean, it really is like a miss. Like when you hear, like, that's one of the things I want to talk about the Gangsta album. I just miss hearing DJ scratch, man. It's just something that's just, that song I think kind of took me back to the How Many MCs Black Moon, you know, and just at the end when Evil is scratching and when you see the video and they in the projects and he like leaned up against the wall scratching, like, I miss that. So definitely that Black Moon Rises. The Audacity of Dope, the last song on that Sky Zoo and P Rock album. Like, that to me, man, like when I heard the album, I loved it, but like that last beat, I loved. And I love when people can end the album just on such a high note. Like, I thought that was dope. I still got Palmolive, Freddie, and Madlib, which is crazy, and it just makes me want to kick myself because I've had that record for years. I'm talking years. Like when Cats told me what it was, I was like, yo, it can't be that, man. I done had that record my whole life, so that's crazy. Make No Issues of It. Jim Jones, Arsonist, the Heatmakers did that joint. And then I'm like JP, Turnpike, Ike, Rick Ross, Jake One. I love it.
It's crazy.
That joint is just, I love that thing to death. All right, let's go into what we talking about next. Who do y'all think was the dopest MC of the year? If you had to give the chip to an MC this year, you're giving the award the dopest MC of 2019.
Easy.
All right, JP, it's easy. You go first. Who you got, JP?
If you'd have asked me this maybe in June, July, September, I'd have been but Benny the Butcher, hands down. Hands down. The consistency, the razor sharpness of his bars, because that's what I really judge an MC on. When you still razor sharp, you know, that's another, and this is going off topic a bit, that's why I always respect Fabulous. Fabulous, his lyrics are always razor sharp to me. So sometimes I feel like MCs take verses off, and they can get that, but right now, Benny, hands down. Best MC to me.
Shit, I ain't mad at that at all, because that's my pick too. Like Benny, and we'll get into this later on, but it's just like I don't for a long, and it's so funny because maybe 2 years ago, not even 2 years ago, it had to maybe be right before Tana Talk came. So maybe like 2 winters ago, Benny and Conway came out here, and Conway was headlining. Benny didn't even have Tana Talk 3 out. You know what I mean? Right. And Cass was like, "Yo, Kill, who you think better, Benny or Conway?" And I was like, "Man, that's tough, but I gotta go with Conway."
Yeah.
2 years later, I'm like,
right,
it ain't even tough no more to me. Like, yo, I gotta go with Benny. Like, that dude, like you just said, still razor sharp, like in every verse. Like, anytime, like, Benny to me has now become what Primo used to be for me in the 90s. You know what I mean? If it said produced by Premier, it was getting listened to. I always tell a story when they sent the All City vinyl. We always at the radio station like, yo, who the fuck is All City? It said, A-side said produced by Premier, the B-side said produced by P Rock. Yo, we don't care who they are. It's gotta be crazy. So that's how it is with Benny. Benny could be featured on somebody I've never heard of, and I'm listening because I know he's gonna give you a crazy verse every time. So yeah, that's definitely my MC of the year, Benny Butcher. Eddie, who you got?
You know what? So far 3 for 3, I gotta say Benny. And the funny thing is, I may not have picked him until that Griselda album dropped. And because for me, it's about the body of work. And yeah, the Plugs I Met was really dope. But it was a short project, you know what I mean? But he had other features, but the work that he did on that Griselda album too, like that sealed the deal for me.
Yeah. And what about you, Porsche?
I wish I could give you a straight answer every time you ask a question, Kill, but I've got to give a disclaimer, and that's just how I do. So I want to say that it's hard not to pick or not to mention Benny. So I do want to be very clear that I do understand Benny. I'm not mad at Benny being the best or being crowned the best or whatever. But for me, he just puts out so much material throughout the year. That's just the way Griselda is, all of them. They populate the release dates with their stuff, which is great. Griselda's a force for sure, but I've always said that music for me is like almost like you got to be in a certain mood to hear it. So I never like start my day with Benny. I never start my it's a very specific mood. So for me, I gotta go with a toss up between Blue and Skyzoo for me as the best for the year.
Mad at that.
I ain't mad at that either.
And the reason for that is Blue and Skyzoo to me are rappers and have put out albums that I can listen to anytime. Any time of day, any day of the week, morning, noon, or night, doesn't matter. They're just an all-around, balanced, smooth albums, and their bars are great. They're so good to listen to. So for me, it's going to be a toss-up between those two.
All right.
And honestly, I would have probably put them as my 2 and 3. Because Blue, you mentioned his project, he put out like 3 projects.
Yes.
I think there was one out of the 3 that I didn't care for too much, but the other 2 were probably in my top 10 or top 15. And Skyzoo, I mean, that album he put out with P-Rock speaks for itself. So
yeah.
Yo, tell me this, y'all, because Porsche, you are one of, now I won't say the few people, not the few people, who champion Blue so much. So how, like, Eddie, when you just said, like, he had 3 albums out, I'm like, yo, I didn't know this dude dropped anything this year. Like, how do you have to be a fan to, like, because I'm always wondering, like, I always told people, Nas said this once, they asked Nas years ago, like, how do you listen to new music or how do you find new acts? And he was like, if it's,
Not to mean to cut you off, but yeah, I definitely want Portia and Eddie to answer because I consider, like, I'm a fan of Blue. I think he's a great MC. Like 12 years ago, Below the Heavens was, I mean, it's still one of my favorite albums, him in Exile, incredible. So the fact that I didn't know he put out projects this year hurts my soul a little bit. So now I definitely have to go back and check him out.
No, yeah, but what I was saying, like Nas has said, if it's dope enough, it'll find its way to me. Right. And that's how I kind of started looking at music, because you're right, it's so much that I figure, especially with me being on Twitter, somebody will bombard me. Like, Porsche, close your ears for a second. When I first heard about Drake, like, everybody was telling me about Drake. Like, I mean, this is back when he had the mixtape out, the So Far Gone mixtape. I mean, hood niggas was telling me about Drake. Niggas in church was telling me about Drake. Everybody was telling me about Drake. So I was like, yo, okay. That's what I meant by if it's dope enough, it'll find its way to me because enough people will be bombarding me with how dope this dude is. Mm-hmm. So I feel like with Blue, like JP said, like, even he likes him. Like, so how do y'all know these came out because y'all are checking for them or y'all follow them? Or because I know, like, even there was shows like when Conway came to DC a couple of years ago, nobody knew about it. Like, the Howard didn't do any promotion, and it was strictly just off of Conway and Benny being on IG talking about it. So is that how y'all found out about I'm like, how do you find out about Blue if you're not a Blue fan?
So I'll start because I know Portia's gonna have a lot to say too. But for me, Blue is one of them MCs that I always kind of keep an eye on or keep an ear out for, and he tends to put out a lot of music. Sometimes, be honest, sometimes he puts out duds. But the 2 projects that he put out this year that I really mess with are one producer albums. And I feel like that's what really keeps him focused. So the one Long Red Hot Los Angeles Summer Night, that project was produced entirely by Ono. And then the other project that I really liked was called Ground and Water. And that album was completely produced by Damu, the Fudge Monk. And that was a shorter project. It was like 8 tracks. But I feel like Blue and one producer is a winning combination, at least for me.
All right, Porsche, what about you? How do you find out? Is it the same thing? Now,
it's the same
I'm sorry,
thing.
Porsche, 1 second. Now, Ed, for both of y'all, when you say like you try to keep up with him, is that social media? Like, is that you knew this because he tweeted it or he IG'd it? Like, how did you know these albums dropped?
Yeah, a little bit of the social media and a little bit of, just keeping up with new releases. I got Google Music, so I'm always kind of checking, on Thursdays or Fridays, what are the new albums that drop. So if it's an MC that, I'm checking for, then of course I'm gonna throw it on or throw it to my playlist.
All right. And what about you, Porsche? How do you find out about Blue?
Eddie pretty much nailed it. Like, Blue is one of those rappers that if you like a project of his, he'll be on your radar and you'll go seek out his like releases or what he's doing, and he's pretty good at keeping fans in the know with his releases on his social media. So that's where I kind of keep up with it, is really through Twitter, although he's not really one of those people that like tweets all the time, but when there's a project, Blue's all over the place, and I absolutely agree with Eddie. He is not somebody who I would say has like a perfect track record for discography. There are hit and misses, but when he hits hard. Like that's one thing, like it stays with you. And I talked about it when we did the mid-year show. That Los Angeles Summer Nights album is something else for me, because I'm not a resident of LA. So for me, when I listen to it, like Blue did such a good job captivating me as a listener and taking me to LA when I hear this. It's literally like takes me there, and not a lot of rappers have been able to do that. Like take me out of my Canadian environment and put me right in the middle of an LA highway driving, where to the point where I can almost like see the palm trees, and I love that. Like Blue really does a good job of that. And like Eddie said, when he's with one producer, he stays focused, and he's such a good storyteller. That's why I love it. So
okay,
yeah,
all right, no doubt. All right, so top 5. I mean, who is y'all producer of the year? Porsche, who you got? I think I already know who you got.
Rock.
Go ahead and say it.
Pete Rock, and I love it. This has been Pete Rock's year. Pete Rock is just like amazing, and I don't need to be the one to talk about how amazing he is. It speaks for himself. But like this year, I am shocked at how he finds the time to put out such quality albums and beats. Whether it's just a single, whether it's an 8-track project, whether it's a full album, whatever, Pete Rock does not miss. And for me, Pete Rock's carried the year for me, and it's Pete Rock without a doubt.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, who you got?
Yeah, same for me. From his, project with Skyzoo, the one with who was on that one? It was Benny and
Smoke DZA.
Smoke DZA, yeah.
Statute of Limitations.
And then you got the instrumental album. You got the tracks that he produced on other albums. He had a couple joints on that Nas Lost Tapes.
Yep.
Actually, to me, the best tracks on that Nas Lost Tapes. We're keeping it real. So yeah, for sure, he definitely came back in a big way.
All right, no doubt. JP, who you got?
This one is honestly one I really haven't paid attention yet, so you probably have to skip me on this, but I mean, they make a good case for Pete Rock, but I really need to sit down and investigate who, as far as the music that I really enjoy, which producer, so I'm not sure quite yet.
All right, no doubt. I'm gonna, put it out Pete Rock to for everything that both y'all already said. You know what I mean? I think one of the things that was so dope to me was the joint. What's the first single off of Metropolitan?
Oh my
God. I can look it up in my phone.
It's all good, right?
It's all good. Yeah, I love that beat. That sounds like classic Pete Rock. But
here's the wild part, JP. That's from like 1991.
Of course. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Right, but to me, like that just said so much that I'm like, that he was like, I think they said like he made this beat like around the same time he made The World. I can't remember the story. I know it's an old SP beat. I can't remember if he made it before The World Was Yours or after. Some Mecca and the Soul Brother, but it's some 90. I think I said 91. I meant like 93. But it's like some classic Pete Rock. So just the fact that you can grab a beat from 1993 and put it out as your first single in 2019, and nobody say something slick like, that sound kind of dope for an old beat. Niggas love saying slick shit like that. Like,
it sounds dated.
Yeah, it sounds dated. Or, that's that boom bap sound. That's a lot, like Eddie said, with the whole, the return of the SP1200 instrumental album, the joint with Smoke DZA and with Benny, the Statute of Limitations. Definitely Pete Rock dope here. But I do want to give an honorable mention to Arsonist from the Heatmakers.
Yeah.
I love the Heatmakers. When you talk about hard drums again, that's it right there. So Jim Jones, El Capo, you know, the joints he did for Fred the Godson. I can't even get through the rest of Fred's album because the Heatmakers did the first two, and I can just listen to them first two on repeat forever. And to know that he's still coming, Cameron drops next week, and I thought it was all Heatmakers. I don't think it's all Heatmakers.
No, I don't think so.
A couple of joints, but I'm just always stuck like, yo, why don't y'all get with Arsonist for the whole album? Like Jim Jones had did it before on his last album, got like 3 or 4 songs, and of course those are my favorites. So it was so dope to hear him do a whole song. So I definitely got to shout Arsonist as a dope honorable mention for producer of the year. Yo, most disappointing albums this year. Albums that y'all were looking forward to and just didn't do it for y'all, and why? Porsche, what you got, miss?
Okay, I got Little Kim's 9 album. I couldn't even. So I know, but you guys.
I know. Kim is your girl. I know.
She is. I love her, and I've said it many times before. If she releases an album, I will check it out. It does not matter. I am okay with being disappointed, but I hope one day to get, like a dope joint from her. So that Lil Kim 9 album was so. I have to put it in the basket with Jada's top 5 Dead or Alive. Like that is how.
That's bad because you hate Jada's top 5.
I hate that album, and the reason I don't like it is because Kim is good at rapping the way Big taught her to rap, and I wish she would go back to that, but she tries. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm totally off, but to me, I feel like she tries to be in a lane that she has no business being in because she just can't get it right. And I don't know if it's because of the healthy competition between the other relevant rappers that I don't listen to. Like, I don't know. But that 9 album was brutal. I don't think I even got through after like the 6th track or something. Like I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So I put that away. That was brutal. I have Czarface meets Ghostface. That was disappointing for me because I thought it was going to be like just the best thing I've ever heard. And because Ghost is back with these guys and it's just going to be, like it's good. The chemistry would have been great. I thought it was a complete miss. I didn't like it, didn't go back to it, listened to it the whole way through, listened to it a few times. And I don't know what it was. It lacked cohesion. It lacked something for me. So that one, Wu-Tang's of Mics and Men EP, didn't like it at all. Anderson .Paak's Ventura album, I didn't like. It was disappointing, which is hilarious because Andre's verse is on my top verses of the year. But I didn't like the overall album. And then those are the ones that sort of were pretty bad for me.
All right, no doubt. What was you said? What was after? Was it Czarface meets Ghostface? What was after that?
Yeah, the Czarface meets Ghostface album.
Right, and then what was your next one after that? It was the
Wu-Tang of Mics and Men.
Oh, the Mics and Men.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That's not even on my list. Actually, I don't know why I said it, but the crazy thing was after watching that documentary on Showtime and hearing Meth spit little bars and everything, I was like, yo, if they drop an album right now, it could kind of be kind of crazy. And then like a week later that came out, and I was like, no, it won't be kind of crazy.
That's exactly how I felt.
It literally was like a quick emotional roller coaster. It was like, yo, I think I can get her number. Damn, I can't get her number. It was like a very quick rejection.
It was exactly. That's why I was so looking forward to it, because off the strength of the documentary, which we did an episode about, which we all really liked, like I can't praise that enough. And then this EP drops and I'm like, what in the hell is this? Like, no, like go back, do something better. Like it just was a miss for me.
Nah, I feel you on that. Eddie, what you got up?
All right. I got Nas, The Lost Tapes 2. And to be honest, it I didn't expect the first Lost Tapes, but what we got was such a letdown, man. And I was able to find some jewels in there here and there, but overall, I wanted more. Dreamville, Return of the Dreamers 3. And the funny thing is, I'm not a big J. Cole fan. but there's some MCs on Dreamville like JID and a couple other young cats that I was really looking for. So I'm like, all right. And then you remember that whole campaign that they had where they were sending out all the emails of all the MCs that were going to be on the album and all the producers and all
right.
So they built that up so much just for me to listen to it and maybe, I don't know, maybe pull out 2 songs from that whole project that I may want to put on a playlist. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. But what else? I got Schoolboy Q, Crash Talk. Not a terrible album, but you know, compared to Blank Face and compared to some of his other albums, you know, Schoolboy Q, like he ain't like super lyrical, right? So if you look at TDE, you got Kendrick and you got Absol and you got J-Rock. You know, Schoolboy Q, he ain't super lyrical, but what he does really well. And I didn't get that feeling from this one, so it was a real big letdown. Same thing with the Big Crit album, Crit Is Here. That was a letdown for me, coming from his previous albums. I just thought it was really inconsistent. For me, I'm about really flow of the album, vibe. You know, if I have to skip too many tracks, you know, it's not going to get a lot of replay for me. So if you got some whack tracks, you're better off putting it at the end of your album, you know, because I won't go through it, you know. What else? I also got that Czarface meets Ghostface that Portia mentioned for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, that Czarface album that they put out with MF Doom, I thought that one was slightly... I like that one. It was slightly disappointed because I wanted a little bit more from Doom, but then I thought, all right, Ghostface is gonna bring it, you know. But Ghostface was a letdown, and this one was even worse than that one. And then I don't know. I got that Common album on here, but to be honest, I probably wasn't really had high expectations for that one, to be honest. But that's pretty much it.
You know the wild part about that Common album? Same thing. But then I went to find out that Kareem Riggins produced the whole album. Now that was kind of crazy to me because I usually rock with Kareem. I'm not like a huge fan, but it was just crazy because I listened to the album. I was like, I don't like this. I think Portia was the one song that you and Vern told me to check out, talking about his daughter, like him and his daughter. Like I thought that was extremely dope. But for the whole album to be produced by Kareem Riggins, I was really let down production wise more than just Common's rhymes. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect a lot from him rhyme wise anymore, but beat wise, when I'm hearing Kareem Riggins is doing the whole album, I'm like, damn, I kind of did expect a little bit more from that. But JP, what you got for disappointing albums?
So just to piggyback off of Eddie, Crash Talk 2, like I agree with him. Like I feel like I like Schoolboy as an MC. Like he's very animated, but the whole album as a whole just didn't. I can always tell how much I like the album by how much I play it. You know, so that one is one I didn't play a lot. And also I have the Common one, Let Love, that didn't. I was kind of amped because I really liked the first single that Swizz Beatz was on. Like I liked that joint. I thought that was gonna be dope. But when I listened to it, I was like, it didn't do it for me. Also, the Dime Piece 2 by Diamond D. I didn't, I had high hopes, particularly because I remember him being in the studio and I felt like he was playing beats or a beat from the album that was coming out. And I was like, oh, this beat sounds crazy, but I didn't hear that beat on the album. Anyway, don't you hate that? Like, what the hell are you playing?
It's like the banana in the tailpipe. Like.
So, yeah. So, that's another one. And The Game, Born to Rap. I've been a Game fan because I feel like him like Rick Ross, they pick good beats. And I've enjoyed their albums as a whole. This one was way too many songs. It was 25 songs. So right off top, I'm like, come on, man. I know half of these. It would have been a good album if it was 10 records.
Right.
But because it was so long, go ahead, Eddie.
He lost me at the album cover, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand. With the pregnant girls, one of the pregnant girls was rolling up a blunt or something like that. It's ridiculous. And another one more that I'm kind of, and I hate to say this, but Dive by Black Milk.
Okay.
I'm a huge Black Milk fan, and he's been very consistent over the years, you know. And this album, and he's incorporated a lot of live instrumentation in his production, but this album didn't really do it for me. But sometimes I have to take a couple months off, and then I go revisit the album to see how I feel about it. And sometimes my feelings may change. So I'm gonna hold out hope for that Dive album. But right now, it was disappointing for me.
Right. Yo, the funny thing about that Game album, did you see I forgot, I think he was on Big Boy's Neighborhood, and he was saying something like, it was, he's trying to do, I hate when niggas try to make mathematical equations. He was like, it's 9 pregnant women, and if you times 9 times 2, then that's 18, and 18 was the year. I'm dead ass. Like, go watch this video, and he literally tries to come up with this mathematical equation on why there were this many amount of pregnant women, and with this added up to, and 1 year was his birth year, and if you divide that by 8, then that gives you my age right now. It's like, bro, don't know what? Yo, I'm dead ass. Yeah. Google. It got to the point. I started watching the interview because supposedly he talks about WAC 100 or whatever his man's name is. Talking about Nipsey wasn't a legend. That was like the YouTube title, like Game breaks down this. Yes. But then I just started the whole video. It was like an hour, and then once he started with the math, I was like, "Yo, bro, I'm good. I'm so good." Like, this is back with JP, and you'll remember. Well, all y'all remember this. Back when everybody's name had to be an acronym for something, like LOG and the Bulldogs. It was like Black Underage Lovers of, like, everything stood for something. Like the Bulldog stood for something. Like, I forgot what it was.
I don't think I ever knew that. That's crazy.
Yeah, like the Bulldog stood for, oh God, I got the CD right. I'm gonna figure this out once I look through this CD. But it stood for something, and Black Moon stood for something too. It was like black, you know, something.
Right.
Y'all losing me with that. So yeah, he lost me with the whole mathematical equation on why the pregnant women were there, whatever. My number one is the Lost Tapes. Yo, that song with Peeble Bryson or Al Jarreau or whatever the hell that shit was. No. And like you said, I think the premise of the first Lost Tapes was this was all the stuff that couldn't get cleared. So it was like a smorgasbord for us hip hop heads, because it was like this is all the stuff we wanted that couldn't get samples cleared or was too hood for the radio and couldn't make the album. I felt like this was literally just shit that didn't make the album. Right. Like, just because it wasn't good enough. And that's a total different premise from the original Lost Tape. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this was. It was like, these were just joints that were just laying around. And God forbid he talking about there's another one. I don't want another one. I'm going to go with the All by Smith & Wesson. I love Smith & Wesson. One of my favorite groups. And again, this is no knock on Ninth and the Soul Council. I just think Smith & Wesson need a certain type of beat. And the type of beats that they need, I don't feel like Ninth and his crew do. I would rather a Derringer, like it's like the Beat Miners just made that sound. It's almost like how Derringer made this Griselda sound. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even the joint that Pete Rock did with Smith & Wesson, it was good, but I wasn't in love with it because, again, I don't think Pete Rock can give them the sound that they need. So it's no knock on the producer or the team or anything. I just think Smith & Wesson sound good over a certain type of soundscape, and I don't feel like they did that. Rise of the Moon, Black Moon. I ain't gonna hold y'all. When I first heard that first single, I was like, yo, this shit just might be crazy. No, it wasn't. Like, it was not crazy at all. It was crazy to me to be like, yo, what happened? Like, what happened? Like, the Beat Miners, those beats just weren't anything to me, at least. When I hear that Black Moon Rise, I'm like, yo, I can play that back just all day long. You know what I mean? But there was just nothing else on that album that really, like, just struck me like that. So it was just kind of, that was like a huge letdown because I was like, yo, this could be pretty dope, man. This could be dope. So those are my disappointing joints. So let's do this. What are your top 5 albums of the year, Porsche?
Oh.
And do they add up to the top 5 albums you played the most? And if not, where's the discrepancy in there?
Okay, so my top 5 were Bandana, Along Red Hot Los Angeles Summer Night, One of the Best Yet, May the Lord Watch, and Retropolitan. And they were the most played albums, actually. But I mean, where there's like, no, they were easily the most played albums, but yeah, that's it. I'll just
keep it simple. Keep it simple.
I'll keep it simple.
Right. Eddie, what about you? Did your list come up to? And again, the reason why I did this for folk watching is just because, like, and I'll do mine just as an example. Like, so if you asked me my top 5, it was gonna be number 5, Square Root of a Kilo, RJ Payne. Number 4, The Plugs I Met. Number 3, El Capo, Jim Jones. Number 2, Retropolitan. And number 1, Bandana, Madlib and Freddie. So if you would have asked me, Kill, what are your top 5 albums of the year? That was it. Square Root, Plugs I Met, El Capo, Retropolitan, and Bandana. But then when I look back and thought about what did I play the most, number 5 is still Square Roots of a Kilo. But then number 4 was Bandana. So I'm like, how is my number 1 album? I don't even play it that much. You know what I mean? So that was number 4. Number 3 was El Capo. Number 2 was Retropolitan. And the album I played the most was The Plugs I Met by Benny, which was ranked number 4. So again, the only reason why I did, because now I'm like, so then shouldn't The Plugs I Met be my number 1 album? Like, is that how this adds up? I mean, I'm really asking y'all because I have no idea. Like,
I think for some people that holds true, but then some people, you probably sometimes, and this may sound crazy, but it's so like you enjoy the album so much that you don't want to hear it so much because you're afraid you might get tired of it. So you play it. It's still your favorite, but you don't want to play it as much as you play something else. You still want. I don't know. That's just a thought process that I have.
It just tripped me out because even with this, and I'm still looking for answers for this. If I'm in the mood to hear Nas, I grab It Was Written. If I'm in the mood to hear Jay-Z, I go to American Gangster. Like, but if you ask me what's my favorite Jay-Z and Nas album, I'm gonna say Reasonable Doubt and Illmatic. But then my thought process is, then why don't I go, like, if you in the mood for some pizza, wouldn't you go to your favorite pizza spot? Like, you ain't gonna go to like your 3rd favorite pizza spot. If you love Pizza Hut, you're gonna be like, yo, let's go get some Pizza Hut. So does anybody else struggle with that, or is it just as simple as you want to hear Nas, you grab your favorite Nas?
I feel like it's also with music, like different than food. I think music like sticks with you a little bit different, and then it resonates a little differently based on a lot of things. So whether it's the beats, the production, the beats, production, lyrics, the stories, whatever, and then couple that with the period in your life that you heard it, the nostalgia piece. That's why, because from album to album, the beats are very different as well. So while you may like maybe the lyrics in It Was Written more, that's why you always listen to it, you may like the content of or the beats on Illmatic more. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe that's why it's your favorite, because the beats stick out more on Illmatic, and then maybe the lyrics on It Was Written stick out more. So that's the one you go to all the time.
Let me ask you this, Porsche. What's your favorite Nas album? And is that It Was Written? And when you feel like hearing some Nas, do you always, and maybe you pull different music, like maybe this is just my weirdo personality where I know I'm gonna pull the same album whenever I'm in the mood to hear something. Maybe somebody else will be like, oh no, when I'm in the mood to hear Nas, maybe I'll pull Stillmatic one day, maybe I'll pull this, but for you,
I'm with you. With Nas is weird for me because It Was Written is hands down my favorite Nas album. But when I want to hear Nas, I always put on Stillmatic, and the reason for that is it's just a different feeling of an album. And sometimes I just want to hear Ether, and I want to hear One Mic, and it's not on It Was Written, but that doesn't make it my favorite. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I get mad at Jay for putting out shit like 444, and I want to hear Ether, so I just go to that. Like that's just me.
All right. What about you, Ed? Are you like that too?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm so much about vibes and so much about what is my atmosphere when I'm listening to it, because I commute a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. So if I'm on the train or public transportation on the bus, I'm probably gonna hear something a little different. If I'm driving, when you're driving, there's a whole different element of that. Something that sounds good in the car. Or if I'm just chilling at home, or if I'm going to put something on that, everyone in the house could hear, then I might go for something else. Like I'm not going to put on some Coke rap at home, stuff like that. But
tell me, so what's your favorite Jay album?
My favorite Jay album, Black Album.
Black Album. When you feel like hearing some Jay-Z, what do you pull?
Black Album. Yeah.
Okay, the Black Album. All right, no doubt. JP, and what you think? Oh.
I was gonna say, going back to the Nas thing, for me, I don't know. I'll probably say Illmatic with Nas, but I might rotate between Illmatic, It Was Written, and Life Is Good. So those are the three that I kind of rotate, and it all depends on, what I said. What's my atmosphere? What kind of mood am I going for? All
right, cool. And JP, what you think? Like, what is your favorite Jay album? Is that what you pull when you want to hear some Jay?
I don't pull whole albums. I just pull. Okay. I feel like I pull a song. I may want to hear freestyle that Jay did. You know what I'm saying? Or when he was up at Hot 97 or something like that. So, but I understand what you're saying. I feel like Reasonable Doubt is my favorite Jay album, but American Gangster is more like what I would feel now. But I guess between those two, I would still go Reasonable Doubt first. Mm-hmm. I think because the impact it had on me when it first came out, nothing can match that.
Right.
It was different. Yeah.
Right. No doubt. All right. My bad for screwing up everything. Eddie, top 5 of the year, and are they your top 5 played of the year?
Yeah, no doubt. So I think my top 3 is probably up there with top played. So I got, at my 1 spot, I got a Retropolitan. Number 2 spot, I got Bandana. Number 3, I got May the Lord Watch. Number 5, I got Gang Starr, One of the Best Yet. And, I got my order out of place. Number 4 is Gang Starr, One of the Best Yet. Then number 5, I got a relatively new album, is Brother Ali and Evidence, Secrets and Escapes. And then there's a couple albums that probably should have been in there if I went by most played. So I got Benny the Butcher, The Plugs I Met, and part of that is such a short album. So if I'm in the mood to hear it, I'm playing it more often. Mm-hmm. And there's situations when if I'm going for a short drive, I don't want to hear a part of an album. I know I could throw that out, and it could be a short, dope listen. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it was in my top 5 favorites, but I do have an honorable mention. Then I got Nems, Gorilla Monsoon. That album, I mean, I love that album. Why isn't it in my top 5? That's a damn good question, because that album I probably played just as much as the Little Brother album, probably just as much as that Skyzoo and Pete Rock album. I'm not quite sure why I didn't make my top 5. Maybe if I'm comparing.
You said Nems? Nems. Who's that?
Yeah, Nems. He's an MC from Coney Island. Gorilla Nems. He started off as like a battle rapper, freestyler. Honestly, I was driving. I was driving, listening to Sirius XM, one of the hip hop channels, and I heard him on an interview. This is how I discovered him. I just heard him on an interview, and they were talking about his background, him being in Coney Island. He did a little freestyle on the radio, and then they played one of his joints. And after that, I'm like, damn, I gotta look this dude up. and I heard the album, and just the whole album was dope to me. And just me growing up in Brooklyn, you know, it was kind of that retro feel to it while still having new school elements, you know. Kind of has that aggressive style and aggressive flow similar to like the Griselda, but uniquely his own as well.
Okay, all right, no doubt. JP, what's your list look like?
All right, I'm not gonna put this in order, but my top 5 is Bandana, May the Lord Watch, The Plugs I Met, the Chris Classic album that the guy I mentioned before. It was called Sauce Drip. No, it was all the current phrases, but it's really, he's not of that crowd. He I guess he titled that to be funny. And so, and what else? And Lost Boy by YBN Cordae. That album, and I played May the Lord Watch the most out of all of them. Like, I played May the Lord Watch every day since it came out. Every day. Because it's only 37 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's a great album from top to bottom. So that, and then Bandana, I'll probably play Plugs I Met more than Bandana, but Bandana would be number 2 if I put them in order. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. It's crazy.
That Lost Boy album is dope.
It's dope, but as an MC, lyrically, he's insane. He's insane.
The funny thing about that, probably the only reason why I don't have it higher and why I don't play it more is that it gives me the feeling like, damn, am I too old to be listening to this shit and liking it? But it is dope. You know, this guy he could rap. He has his own unique style. Yeah. Like, the production wise, it's not like a lot of the new shit where the production just kills it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a dope album for sure.
Yo, Ed, one of the albums you talked about, I wanted to touch on because I don't have a place for it, and it's the Gang Starr album because it kind of borders lines on disappointing to me. And the reason why I say that is because the first time I heard it, to me, it was just nostalgia. It was like, it was, you hear that intro, like I said, if that Gang Starr intro don't get you hyped, it's hard. Then it goes in MOP, and then you know, and then I'm listening the first time. I'm like, oh shit, is this little dab or like, you know? And then you hear J. Rule. It was like a family reunion, and then you kind of remember you don't fuck with your family too tight. You know what I mean? Like, you get there, and you're like, oh, cousin JP, like, but now that I listen back to it a little later, like, the beats are kind of disappointing to me. Like, there are probably only 5 or 6 songs that like are really beat wise, production wise from Premier that I really rock with, but it's hard to call it disappointing because we didn't know it was even coming. Like, it was like one Friday, it was like we got the joint with J. Cole, and I think the next week we got the second single that I really do like, that Bad Name. I love Bad Name, and I love the joint Hitman with Q-Tip. Like, those two are like the energy I wanted the whole album, but somewhere along the line it just kind of falters to the side for me. You know, and I guess we've talked about this before, but going into 2020, we talked about how great the year 2018 was, 2019 was. Is there just too much music coming out?
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is just like the Gang Starr album, everybody on Twitter is talking about it for 23 hours. Like, not even 24. Like, and then we're on to the next thing. You know, it's like, I remember when Tiger Woods got caught cheating, and that was just on the news everywhere for a good week. Now, if that happened right now, it would have been on the news for like 7 hours, and we're on to the next. You know what I mean? Like, where the society right now is very much quickly on to the next. Like, you know, like Portia, she was saying, you've got stuff in your queue that people haven't even gotten to yet. Like, people are like, Kill, did you listen to my music I sent you? Like, my nigga, I'm still listening to the Griselda album. Like, I am now, like, I'm zoned in for a bare minimum of a week per album. Like, I just want to zone in. I realized I can't even rap along with my favorite songs anymore because I don't give them enough time to even learn the lyrics. And that was half of the fun growing up with hip hop, was coming outside, and who knew all the words to Ain't No Half Stepping? Who knew all the words to my melody? Like, so many people are like, yo, this is my favorite album, and can't even spit one verse. You know what I mean? So for me, I said, look, I don't care if I'm late. Like, I just listened to Game's album like a snippet of it like last night for the first time.
I haven't even listened to Game yet. I haven't gotten it. And why? Because there's so much music coming out that I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Crook is going to get priority over Game, even though he just dropped and Game's
right.
So
right.
And that's always what's happening is you go to press play on something and it's like, oh, so-and-so dropped an album. And you're like, okay, well, it's going to take a seat, so I can do this.
You have to prioritize for the MCs or the artists that you like first.
Yeah.
You have to. It's prioritization. Like you got to prioritize that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like me and Ev did a show back, and it was like called "Why Are We Speed Dating Hip Hop?" Because I feel like that's what we're doing. We're not taking the time to really sit down and live with it. I love the fact that I can spit Retropolitan's bars. I can spit Skyzoo's bars. When I'm listening to Penny Jerseys, I can sit there and my block hit a pause. Like I love the fact that I can do that, but I feel like with social media, God forbid if you're a blogger and you got to review something, you better review it in the first 48 hours. Because if you don't, nobody even cares about it a week later.
And that's crazy.
Right.
That's so crazy because a lot of times albums grow on you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't even get a week to live with it because if I don't, like, after when I finally was ready to write a Gang Starr review, I was like, what's the point? Because nobody's going to want to read it because 8 more albums done dropped. So if you don't write the review or if you got to be on social media discussing it, like I tell people all the time, I don't mind being late. I don't mind being late to the party and coming in 3 months later talking about, yo, this Game album was pretty good. And people are like, oh, you old. Like, yeah, because I was enjoying other stuff. But I just feel like, so for you all, what do you think? And I mean, I know we can't throw a name. I mean, I had to name at least 60 albums, and I'm probably still missing another 60.
Right.
What do y'all think is a good roundabout number for the year? Like, just I'm almost at the point like give me 30, 40 albums tops. Give me 30, maybe even 30 albums tops. And I wish I would have done the research. I just kind of just thought of this, but I would just love to see what it was like in '94, JP, when we was at Morton. Like, what was the average amount of albums when Into the Woo dropped and Midnight dropped and, you know, Return of the Boom Bap? Like, how many albums did we get in 1994? Whatever that is, then give me that. Because it's entirely too much. It's too much stuff that's not going to go heard. You know, I'm even telling some of my friends who are indie artists, like, yo, you done dropped 8 albums this year, my nigga. Like, come on. Like, I can't keep up with 8 albums from an indie artist mixed in with the 500 albums from the artists that I love. You know
and also what you say what you saying that, like you mentioned earlier, like if it's dope enough, it'll come to you. Like I used to believe that. I don't believe that anymore. Because there's so much stuff. Like it'll be like it's been times where I've been a year late on the album and but it was dope. But I had no idea it came out and things like that. So it's just crazy. It's so much.
Right, like the fact that you're saying, JP, that you fuck with Blue and you didn't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Like that's a prime example, right? For me, I don't know nothing about Blue, so that's to be given for me. But if you're like, yo, I mess with him, and it didn't make its way to me, like that it says a lot, and I get that I don't know if people are putting out so much music because they're trying to eat off the streaming numbers. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like the more I put out, the more you can stream. Somebody told me, well, Kill people aren't doing third verses anymore because songs only need to be 2 minutes so that you can hurry up and stream the whole song and you get more money if you stream the whole song than just a portion of the song. And so now I'm wondering if all these things are just marketing strategies to just flood the market so that I can make as much money back from streaming. But I mean, hell, if Pharrell got some chunk change from Happy, and I swear to God, that was everywhere. If Pharrell only got 100,000 from Happy, we can all just stop trying to live our streaming dreams because it's not gonna happen. Nobody is getting more run than Happy did when it dropped. You know what I mean? So if we're trying to do that for streaming numbers, it's not gonna happen. What were you gonna say, Ed?
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say is you know, at some point, like I started, you know, if there's artists I really were excited about, obviously I check it out. But other stuff, you know, it might be something that looks a little interesting, but you can't listen to everything. So I put certain artists in a box that I'm like, all right, if someone else tells me that this is dope, then I'll come back to it. If not, I'm gonna just leave it because you gotta sort through. You gotta have some kind of a sorting filing system, right? This I'm gonna listen to right now. This I'm gonna get to. This, you know, unless someone tells me that it's amazing, it's dope, then I'm gonna put on the back burner. And there's some projects that, you know, I maybe listened once or twice. I haven't really given a proper listen. Like that Apollo Brown album had a lot of dope MCs on it, all Detroit album, but it's like 24 tracks, way too long. It's like over an hour, 24 tracks. I just was exhausted, man.
So it's almost like seeing 24 just even turns you off.
Right,
even trying to play in the first place. Like you said, you saw 25 songs on game. You're like, it's almost like going into a store and you seen the line for a Popeye's chicken sandwich. Like, it ain't even worth it. But you know what? You got 25 songs, bro. I'm good. Let me just go over here. So, Porsche, what about you? What's your thing with all this music coming out?
Yeah, so I think there's like we are bombarded with music all the time, and streaming has everything to do with it because streaming numbers and charting and, you know, money and all that kind of stuff for the artist. But like, I just remember back into, you were talking about like, was it always like this? I think when I used to write my articles and I would go through the releases for specific years, we weren't getting any more than 65. I think on a really big year, it was like 65 releases the entire year. Now on my paper for this show, I have like 55 albums that I've listened to personally, and that's not even all of it. Like there's albums you guys have named that I haven't even touched because I never got around to it. And I also remember back in, 97 when DMX dropped 2 albums and people were freaking out that DMX dropped 2 albums that year because no artist was able to do that with, you know, like I don't know any other rapper that was as big as DMX that dropped 2 albums that in 1 year.
Yo, that's such an ill point because now West will drop 3 albums in a year.
Now Benny's dropping. Benny drops 1 album, and people are like, "Damn, Benny's asleep, man. He's not hungry anymore."
Yeah, like what was she gonna do? Just came out last week, but Hitler with Hermes was like 3 weeks before that. It's crazy.
Like if. Like and this happened with Blue. Funny enough, that someone was like, "Oh, don't you wish?" Someone tweeted me and said, "Like, don't you wish Blue would drop another album?" I'm like, "Hey, yo, like this guy's done 4 albums this year. Like, what do you want from him?" Like, man, he's like a big group, but that's what it is. Like, it's just we're getting to a point where we are consuming music way too fast, and like I miss the days where we would get 1 album and then from that same artist we would have to wait a year to get another one,
at least
years to get another one. So we would hold on to that CD, that vinyl, and we would play it until there was like scratches on it. I remember I had to go buy like 36 Chambers twice because I had scratches on that CD from taking it from place to place and moving it from sleeve to sleeve and all of that kind of stuff because there was no other Wu album at the time. You know what I mean? And now it's just, okay, like we got something from Benny and then we know that Benny's probably going to cook something up in another 3 months. So, okay, well, we'll just wait for the next one. That's just,
but you know, the dope thing, the thing that I do love about Benny is that Benny dropped the Tan Talk 4, whatever. I can't keep up with it. 3. He dropped that, I want to say November of 2018. And then he dropped The Plugs I Met in like June or July of 2019. And I kind of felt like that's a good thing to do. Like, you know, like, because keep in mind, we still didn't get a Benny album this whole year.
Right.
You know what I mean? On some real shit. Like Tan Talk 3 was a Benny album. Right. We got that at the tail end of 2018. We have not gotten a Benny album this entire year. But he gave us a dope EP. Right. And he's been featuring. And to me, that is a good way of doing it.
Yes. And it is.
I'm not tired of Benny. I'm still waiting for another Benny album. Right. As much as I love The Plugs I Met, the only knock I could give it was I just wanted to hear more Benny. Like, Jadakiss killed his bars and RJ Payne and 38 Special, but you know, I want The Plugs I Met in 5 to 50 where it's just Benny. So
and this is just a curse of the rapper. Like this does not apply to producers because, you know, Pete Rock could put an album out or produce an album or put out an instrumental every week and I will love each and every one of them, I'm sure. Do you know what I mean? Like this is just a rapper's curse for some reason I don't know what it is. Like I don't know.
Honestly, Pete Rock, I'm with you. But I kind of wish Muggs would slow down. Muggs is like flooding the market way too much. I'm kind of tired of it now.
I told you earlier, I'm sure I'm forgetting the 80 albums that Muggs dropped this year with every rapper from Buffalo to New Hampshire from now on. And I think the thing is, and I think, Porsche, you kind of touched on it, just the fact of, will I lose my spot? You know what I mean? There's so many people coming out. Will I lose my spot? Whereas I feel like Benny is solidified. Benny is solidified. He's in his spot, but not a lot of MCs are at that place where I think Benny knows niggas fuck with him. You know what I mean? Like, he's on Rock Nation. You know, he's in meetings with Jay-Z. I think Benny kind of knows it. For a lot of these other MCs, they may feel like maybe a Styles P feels like I need to drop a mixtape, 3 times a year just to keep my name. If I don't, you'll forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many rappers on here, like, Inspector Deck dropped the album. I don't even know nobody who listened to the album. You know what I mean? Like, how was it?
I thought it was dope. That was that project that he put out for open.
The joint where he was asking for beats or something.
Yeah, but you had to use from the certain samples.
Right.
But it actually came out. It actually came out pretty dope, actually. And I thought he was supposed to drop a second album, but he never did. But yeah, that one was it was one of those. It wouldn't make my top list, but it was one of those that it was better than what I expected. So it was nice, nice to, yeah.
And I think too, one of the huge things, and I want to say, JP, correct me if I'm wrong with Little Brother. I want to say that they kind of worked through their issues and they did the album together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think so much of this music is now just sent back and forth. And to me, there's just a certain magic you have when you work with the person in the studio. You're throwing ideas back and forth off of each other. Like, even when I do projects with people, if I send Vegas a beat and Vegas says, do you like it? I mean, I'm going to like it, but let's just say I didn't like it. Can I really say that? Now you got to go back in and spend more money for studio time to redo it. And you know what I mean? I just feel like it literally is just like, yo, I'm sending you these 10 beats. You rhyme to those 10 beats and then we put it out the next day. And sometimes that works. I think a lot of times more than others, it doesn't. Like, I think now in 2019, going to 2020, we got classic and trash and there's no in between. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of good hip hop albums that come out.
Yeah.
Three mic and 3.5 mic.
Yeah, 3.5 mic.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, oh my God, it's a classic. And, I'm like, okay, then let's see how many people name this on their album of the year list. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting hell when I said I ain't like the Lost Tapes too. But I'm not gonna probably hear anybody when they come out their album of the year list.
Exactly.
Making a list, because it's like, yo, there's nothing wrong with something just being okay. But yeah, I feel like we gotta slow down on this music. JP, do you have any other genres like R&B albums, anything that you want to shout out for this year?
Oh man, I'm not gonna waste your time. I mean, there are some things, but I can't think of them right now. But there's some good ones.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, what about you? You got any other genres?
I got a couple. That Anderson .Paak album, Ventura, that Portia didn't like. I really enjoyed that album. I thought it was dope.
What genre
definitely better than. I put it more into like the soul genre, to be honest.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, because he's doing more singing on that.
I agree.
And I like that a lot more than Oxnard, which he dropped, I think, the end of last year.
Right.
Then the Raphael Sadiq album that Kill put me onto.
Yes.
That Lee, that was
I forgot about that one. I did listen to that one.
I don't even know if this one counts, but the Marvin Gaye album, the Lost Marvin Gaye album that they released this year, You're the Man. Yeah. That was pretty dope. Yeah. And then there's a new one. The last one I mentioned, there's a new one that I'm still giving some more listens. That Free Nationals album. That's Anderson .Paak's band. They released their own album, and it's pretty dope.
All right, I gotta check that out. I was looking at the track list and I'm like, okay, Conway's on here. Okay, that sparked my interest in a good and a bad way. But I'm like, okay,
I have a few now. But
right,
come back to me at the end. All right.
Like Eddie said, Jimmy Lee. I love the Raphael Sadiq album, production wise, and it's funny because it's one of those albums. One of the things I'm trying to lead now is I just want to hear the album. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to stay away from singles because even with the Retropolitan joint, it's all good. When they dropped that as a single, I was like, this is cool. You know what I mean? But I'm just used to a single being big. Like, this is a big song. When I listen to It's All Good in the stream of the album, it fits perfectly. I love it. But when it was like, boom, here's the Skyzoo Pete Rock joint, I'm like expecting some mind-blowing emoji. And I'm like, this is dope. You know, this is dope, but it's not like, oh my God, Pete, oh my God, it's Skyzoo. But when I hear it in the flow of the album, it fits perfectly. And that's how it was with Jimmy Lee. I feel like this being a concept album about his brother being on drugs, like one of the songs, I think it's My Walk. When I first heard that, I was like, yo, this sounds like some cosmic, I don't even know what this is, you know what I mean? But then again, when I hear it in the flow of the album, it fits perfectly. So that's one of the things I'm trying to stay away from. Here's the thing that's gonna shock a lot of folk out there watching. Over It by Summer Walker. I fucking love Summer Walker. Man.
Oh yeah?
I love this shit.
Okay.
I love this chick. Here's the thing, y'all. Can she sing? No. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We are not gonna compare. I feel like listening to modern day R&B, you cannot compare it to the people we grew up with. You cannot compare it to the Regina Halls and the Anita Bakers and, you know, the Patti LaBelles, even the Mary J. Bliges and the Faiths. You can't. They have a new style of singing that's, I don't even know, with trap R&B, or you kind of just talking with I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I feel like Summer Walker does it best. Like my daughter Nay loves her. She loves her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I listen to Summer Walker and she'll play me her stuff. And I'm like, to me, they got the same style. I just like Summer Walker, but I think her pen game is crazy. So her joint Over is crazy. Love, Sex, and Religion by this cat named Jonte Austin. He's a songwriter who's out of ATL. Came up with that Brian Michael Cox.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wrote a lot of big hits. Wrote Tyrese's Sweet Lady, a lot of R&B from the 90s. He's a huge songwriter. He dropped the EP Love, Sex, and Religion. That's very dope. And Elle Varner, the refill shorty. I know it's been like 10 years, but she had an EP out called Elevation that I thought was really, really dope. And then the last one, kind of like what Eddie said with the Marvin Gaye, you know, I'm gonna throw it in there, The Originals by Prince. And these were joints, these were all songs that Prince had written for other people, and they're the demo versions of it. So you get the demo version of The Times Jungle Love. You get the demo version of Prince singing Glamorous Life by Sheila E. You get Manic Monday. You get all these joints that ended up being on other artists' albums, but you get to hear Prince sing them. So those were my top 5 joints from there. And I also throw a couple of slept on ones. 85 to Africa by Jindina. I really enjoyed that.
It's really good.
Not too many people really said anything about it.
It's really good.
I really enjoyed that. Here's a crazy one, because I've never been a huge Wale fan, but Wow, That's Crazy. That album, it's good. I'm not saying it's bananas. I'm not saying this, but it's a really solid album. I really liked it. And so those are my 2 like slept on joints. You got what were you gonna say, JP?
No, I was agreeing with you about the Jindina album. It's real good.
But what you got on your list?
Okay, my list. So staying on hip hop for one quick second. The Survival album by Dave East was a lot better than I thought it would be. I was very surprised. It could have been it was 20 songs though. It could have been if he had cut it down to like maybe 14, it might have hit my top 10 easily. Right. But it was a good album. Solid effort. Heather Victoria, who was on Knife Wonder's label Jamla, she put out an album earlier, like maybe a month or 2 ago, called Boutique Hotel. It's really good R&B album. Sir's album Chasing Summer, I really like. I've been a fan of Sir for he's on TDE, R&B artist. I'm make sure I pronounce her name right. Snow Allegra, she's a great singer. Album out called Those Feels Again. Great album. Like, she can sing. The production on it is really great.
White shorty, right? She's white?
She's not white.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what her nationality is, but she's not white. Lucky Dave, they got an album called Painted, or I'm not sure if it's a group or one singer, but the album is really good. And Alex Isley, who's the niece of Ron Isley. Okay. She put out an EP. I mean, she's put out projects over the years. I've been a big fan of hers. She put out a project this year called The Beauty of Everything Part 2. Very dope album. I play that a lot. And this other guy called Devin Morrison. He got an album called Bussin'. Like, the whole album is very nostalgic. Like, it gives you like a little 90s, little 80s, but production-wise, it's insane. So those are my favorite. I think he produced a lot of the stuff on the album. And one more, one of my favorite producers of the newer generation of producers, K Tronada, just put out an album called Bubba.
Okay. I haven't checked that yet.
I've been listening the past couple of days, and it's like his beats. Like I'm a huge fan of this dude. Like of all the newer producers, new generation, he's my favorite. And
he's Canadian too.
Yeah, he's Canadian. So yeah, he's a great album called Bubba.
He's not Drake, so that's good.
Now we talking about how music finds us. JP, I've never heard of half these artists you just named. Right. So how did this music find you?
Well, I mean, I'm not a casual fan like all of us. We're not casual fans. We love music, so I have no problem going and searching for stuff. Like when I used to follow blogs and I used to I used to go to them all the time. But now, if you download something on iTunes or Tidal, they'd be like, well, if you like this, you might like this. That's a good, and it suggests some albums people you never heard of. So, but I pay attention. I do pay attention. Like, this is what we do, so I pay attention to a lot. So,
Right. All right, no doubt. The one thing I want to do, too, is to shout out some of the indie albums this year. I want to shout out my man Vern, Praying with Dirty Hands. He's just dropped the album. I got to shout out my brother Yao. You're all welcome.
Oh, yes.
Love
that album.
Very good album.
Vegas and me, Keep Calm, we brought friends. My man Jamal Gasol, No Joy Without Pain Part 3, produced by me and my man Keystar. We just dropped a video for one of the joints I produced for him called Wavy. Gotta salute my little brother Mousse with his album Adolescent Tape. And my man Lupus Day, A Day to Kill, that I produced. So like you said, JP, I just have to try to get more time to dig. You know what I mean? Like, right. I think that's my problem. I haven't been digging, and now it's the cyber digging, or maybe just going to SoundCloud.
Right.
Another huge way I find things is Shazam. Like, I know some people hate the app. I love the app because I'll be watching. I forgot, what's that show? Euphoria on HBO. They had a crazy soundtrack, like the stuff. So I hit Shazam on that, and like you said, go listen to their album. Even that joint, The Shy, that was on Showtime. Yeah. Has a lot of growth. That's the thing. These music coordinators or whoever they are, who picks the music for these shows. Like, that's another way. Issa Rae's joint was like that. You know what I mean? Like, Insecure would have some crazy music. You know what I mean? To the point that they're now putting out like Spotify playlists based off of each episode. Because the music, people are like, yo, what was that song? Or what was that song?
Right.
Like you said, it's a million ways to dig out here. JP, tell them about some of the music you got on tap, where they can get at, and all that good stuff.
I put out an EP early this year, free EP. You can get that. It's called Listen. You can get that on my website, jpazmedia.com, jpazmedia.com. And you can follow me on IG, JPaz Music.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, where can they get at you, good brother?
Yeah, man, you get me at Twitter at EddieD80.
All right. Porsche?
Twitter is at Cherchez La Porsche.
Cherchez La Porsche. You already know what it is with me, Kill889, Instagram, IG, We'll Make Beats for Food. I just want to give another one of my Kill public service announcements again. I am challenging parents, aunties, uncles, everybody out there who has a kid around them. Please teach your children about sexual assault. It's very real out here. It's an issue I'm currently dealing with. It's a heartbreaking issue. It's sad that we have to talk to our kids about sex at such an earlier age, just because they're bombarded with it. You know what I mean? But we actually now have to talk to our kids about sexual assault. Explaining to our girls that if something happens to you, it's a very time-sensitive matter. As parents, let your girls know that if something happens to them, it's okay for them to tell you. Be a dope parent and investigate what your daughter's telling you. And to all you mofos out here with sons, explain to your sons that no means no. And some of y'all know if y'all sons are a little off, and you need to explain to them that stop is no, and anything negative is no, and everything like that. And to me, this is the most hurtful part, is that you have to explain to your children about family members. because the sad part is from going through this situation and having to meet with a lot of different people who've been sexual assaulted. It's heartbreaking to hear how many people I've heard have been sexually assaulted by people they knew, by relatives, by cousins who were the same age. I mean, this shit is heartbreaking, y'all. Like, this has opened up a whole new, I've been working with kids for the past 19 years. This past 2 weeks have opened up a whole Pandora's box of things that we realize we got to talk to our kids about. You would be shocked at how many women that we know that have never even dealt with the trauma they have been through because they've been sexually assaulted. So hate to bring down the show, but as always, me being in these streets every day, me working with these kids, I'm only a dope dad because I almost feel like I'm a fly on the wall. So I feel like I got to share this stuff with y'all so that y'all can, we're all of that age where some of us have kids or having kids or we know kids. You got to talk. It's a tough conversation to have, but I'm telling y'all could, I tell people you can pay now or pay later. But when you pay later, it's always going to cost so much more. So it's just easier to just talk to your kids about it now than having to talk to your kids about it, God forbid, after they've been sexually assaulted. So, so sorry to end on such a bad note, but hey, listen to that new Rock Marciano album. Listen to that new Griselda album. It's dope. You know what I mean? So still find a way to end it on a positive note. I will check y'all next week, y'all.
See ya, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce a very interesting young man who's traveled from